So I recently saw a post on Instagram by a lady named Laura Matsu, and her post is, I don't know if this is an excerpt from something or something she wrote, but I'll read it. There is a small still voice within you, which is your inner teacher. This inner teacher will guide you to where you need to be. It exists to deliver you messages from the divine. Yet, if you fill your mind with constant thoughts, if your body is fearful and armored, the less you can hear this voice, because it speaks to you in silent moments. The more you give your body and mind the inner space to receive its messages, the more you embrace boredom and honor silence, the clearer the voice will be. This really spoke to me and resonated with me. Um, um, because I can vouch for this. I don't know what to call the inner voice, intuition, inner wisdom, my conscience, my soul. Um, I don't know what to call it, but I think it does exist. And I have experienced this. I have felt this inner voice. I have heard this inner voice throughout different parts of my life. And I do think what Laura wrote is very true, that in order to hear this, you have to be attuned to it, and there has to be inner silence within you to hear it. Because there's so much noise and chatter that most people are exposed to, in the form of external stimulation and what's going on externally in your environment, but more importantly, internally. So your thoughts, thinking about this or that, ruminating about things, worrying about things, having all these different ideas and thoughts going on throughout your head and getting totally focused and fixated on that to where it drowns out this voice that Laura has wrote about, to where you can't hear that anymore because your brain is so preoccupied with all the other chatter and white noise. And in addition to that, as she mentioned, if your body is fearful and armored, the less you can hear this voice because it speaks to you in silent moments. If your body is fearful and armored, what does she mean? Armored. So what does she mean by that? My interpretation of that is that if you are living in fear, typically most people come up with defense mechanisms to protect themselves and to feel safe. And so one way people do that is by not feeling your emotions, becoming emotionally numb so you don't feel anything, as a means to guard yourself from negative emotions. And that's something I can relate to, and that I think I've done that. And I very, very much feel like I'm fearful in different ways and armored to protect myself psychologically. And maybe it was useful at some point to do that, but now it's no longer useful and it's harming me. It's stifling me. And I don't know how to reverse that. I don't know how to get out of that fear, how to get the fear out of my body and how to take off the armor. The more you give your body and mind the inner space to receive its messages, the more you embrace boredom and honor silence, the clearer the voice will be. So embracing boredom and honoring silence are two things she recommends to allow the inner voice, to flourish. What that would look like for me, I think, would be not trying to distract myself when I feel bored, not trying to engage in things to alleviate the boredom when I feel bored, but instead just sitting with the boredom and being okay with that. And valuing silence and not needing to fill my mind and my ears with sounds, with noise. So in my case, not listening to podcasts or watching videos or listening to music every single day. That like I normally do that like almost every day. I'm like at least watching one video or listening to one podcast, or listening to music, even if it's just for like 5-10 minutes. I'm usually doing it every single day. So just going a day, like an entire 24 hours with just none of that. No podcasts, no videos, no YouTube, no music, no Spotify, no anything. Just sitting with the sounds of the world, of the natural environment. I mean, which, arguably is not completely natural because I live in a city and I'm around cars and, I hear that pretty much every day. But going out into the park, going out into the woods, away from cars, away from traffic, and just sitting and listening to the sounds of the woods, of the forest, of the birds, of the water, of the wind, and just sitting with that. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say about that.